much like anno-communist flags, which would make a lot of sense.
And we've said that's not soon enough. We need much more radical change before then because the climate is reaching a tipping point.
Hello, here today. Got Extinction Rebellion who are protesting in my local area. So I'm going to go and ask them a few questions, see what they're up to today. Obviously we know there's a lot of lies that have been thrown around in the media, through our governments and through most of the Western and majority of the world. So I'm just going to take a few moments just to go and speak to them and see what it's all about.
Extinction Rebellion.
I'm okay, thank you. Hello, I'm an independent journalist. I'm also from the local area. I've just come to see today what you're all about and why you're here and what your aims are.
All right, do you want me to speak?
We've got a spokesman.
If you've got a spokesman, that would be fantastic.
You know the person you want to speak to is the lady with the death mask on over there.
Okay.
She's very articulate.
Okay, thank you ever so much. I've just been directed to someone, so I'm just going to have a Hiya. I've been directed to yourselves in regards to the best person to speak to about today's event.
Okay.
I'm an independent journalist, I'm also a local individual. I've just come out to see what it's all about, what you're expecting to achieve, and in what time frames, and just get a general gist of it.
Well,
Do you mind if I record you as well?
no, that's fine. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's somebody who's probably got more information than me.
Okay.
Scientific information, but basically it's Extinction Rebellion.
Okay.
It's a global movement now. We've got 3 demands. We want the government to tell the truth about climate change.
Okay.
We want them to change policies regarding climate change and make us carbon neutral by 2020, not 2050. That'll be too late. We've actually got 60 harvests left in England.
Okay.
So that means within the next 50 years there will be a complete social breakdown because there won't be enough food, there won't be any money, there won't be food and there won't be water.
And how is this?
How is this?
Yes. How will this occur?
Oh, system change. We need to change radically our lifestyle.
Okay, so if we don't, what do we expect to happen?
Well, the Extinction Rebellion, they think that in 11 years' time the climate is so fragile that it will reach a tipping point where we can't pull back from it and we will inevitably come into a
In what regards?
extinction. In what regards? Let me find somebody who can give you
Okay,
more
yeah,
scientific
fantastic.
information.
Thank you. Just going to speak to someone else and just to give a bit more information, see where we can go from here.
I'm loving the selfie stick and I'm loving the suit. You look amazing. What are you doing?
I'm an independent journalist from the local area. So I've just come to ask a few questions, see what it's all about, and to see where you want to go through from here. Basically, do you mind if I record you?
Absolutely,
Is that okay?
go ahead.
Yeah.
So we're raising awareness of the climate crisis. So just to give a couple of things, there are 60 harvests left in the UK due to intensive farming. So what that means is children being born today are going to die of starvation before they hit retirement.
And how is this?
Because our government has allowed that to happen.
How is this? How have they allowed it to happen? In what way?
Because every year there are meetings by the UN,
Okay.
and they haven't acted upon it.
Okay. In what regards? What haven't they acted upon?
So there's no renewable energy. Our cars are fueled by fossil fuels. We have all of our buildings are fueled by non-fossil fuel energy. And
what fossil fuels are those?
so things like coal, gas.
So you're on about You want about?
We need to completely decarbonise our atmosphere and environment by 2025.
Okay, so do you know the percentage of what carbon is made up, so CO2 is made up in our atmosphere currently?
Yes, certainly 415 grams per million.
And do you know what
particles
that
per
is in
million.
percentage?
So we're currently at 1.5%. So we're at 1.1. Our max
Is that global?
global 1.1. And if we get to 2%, seas will rise. So we'll lose centre of London. We'll lose
Get to what percentage, sorry?
2%.
Okay.
The seas will rise. We'll lose parts of East Anglia, London, Netherlands, and sections of the southern hemisphere will be uninhabitable. We are going to hit, we're already at 2% effectively. Because even if we can cut carbon today, which is not impossible, so the carbon emissions will still rise because of past emissions.
Okay, so figures that I've read from the IPCC, which is the Intergovernmental
Yes, IPCC, yeah.
is the Intergovernmental on Climate Change. So they've stated that only 0.04% of global atmosphere is only 0.04% of the atmosphere, and of that, the UK actually produce 1.4% of that.
Okay.
So that's 1.4% of 0.04% of the atmosphere.
So in terms of the UK, they don't measure international emissions. So, for example, that doesn't include any flight traffic. That doesn't include our clothes, which are made in China, but it's actually our carbon footprint.
So saying about clothes, it's a good segue. How do you expect us to go carbon neutral and still produce clothes, food, energy, and other such things for us to be able to live through our day-to-day lives?
So XR deliberately doesn't do solutions because there's good and bad points about solutions. What we want to do, and our primary objective, is to get the government to tell the truth. These facts that we're talking about now, we want the government to tell that to the entire population.
But the facts that you've just stated in regards to the carbon emissions is incorrect, even by the IPCC, which is predominantly what Extinction Rebellion and other leading organisations in regards to climate change actually use. So if they're using those figures, but you're producing different figures, where are these other figures coming from?
But there's still the principles of the devastation that is going to cause. We need the government to tell the truth about that, because whichever figures you use, it's still devastation. The UN Secretary General has said this is extreme and we need transformation now.
Okay, so if there's drastic transformation that's required, so all the houses and buildings that are being built currently, we'll take Florida for example, because that's going to be one of the first places in the world that will go if sea levels rise to the drastic measures that people are stating, right? Florida will be one of the first ones to go. So with that, why are all the condominiums, all the buildings that are being built in Florida currently, why are they not having a disclaimer on the prospectus or prospecti in regards to the rising sea levels having a damaging effect on their buildings and assets further down the line? Why is that not being spoken about? Or why is that not? But these are private companies that are building these, not our government. The private companies are building these buildings, not the public. So the private companies have more to lose than what the public entity did. So why are the private sectors not corresponding with what the public sector is doing?
And that's exactly what we're trying to pressurise the government to do. It's not just make this about individuals, it's about businesses, it's about the whole system. We're asking for complete system change.
But wouldn't you say that the private sector would have more to lose and would have more, that they have to protect more than what the government does?
Absolutely. What you're finding in
so with that, wouldn't you say that when new buildings are being built in these areas that would suffer the most from rising sea levels, wouldn't you expect a disclaimer in their prospectus or prospecti to state that damaging effects from rising sea levels could be this by this time?
I would expect everybody to state everything about the climate crisis. Also, what we're
But why are they not then? Why the private sector not?
Because I'm a part of a pressure movement that's starting to get people to raise awareness about
Okay, so and What about Barclays Bank? If the rise in the sea levels are that damaging, wouldn't the bank say we can't offer mortgages because these houses are not going to be here, we can't protect our assets?
So one of the key parts of exile is that we know global change. So I can't specifically name Barclays because that's not about...
No, I'm asking why they would give, why would they ask...
We're about raising awareness of the climate crisis.
Good march,
So my question was, why are they offering mortgages for 30, 40 years when you say that before then the effects of climate change is going to be devastating?
And that's what we're trying to raise awareness. And what we're also finding in the US...
But raise awareness about what?
Raise awareness to get people and the governments and the politicians and the businesses to tell the truth.
But the banks are telling the truth. They're offering 40-year mortgages. So if they're offering 40-year mortgages, clearly them, as a you say, private entity, have more to lose, and they have to protect their assets. To protect their assets, they'd have to put disclaimers, or they wouldn't offer mortgages for such a long time because the buildings wouldn't be there and people wouldn't then therefore pay for them. Thus meaning they would lose lots and lots of money.
That isn't for me to say.
But it's true, is it not?
I cannot comment on that one.
Why is that?
Because we are a profession movement that is just trying to get people to tell the truth.
But you're not telling the truth yourselves, as far as I can tell.
Really?
Yes.
I'm trying to raise awareness.
But the figures you produce are incorrect. The logic on the rise in sea levels is no longer there because obviously we've got private entities that are stating, well, we're going to offer 40-year mortgages and we're not going to have anything to blame for this. However, if it is as damaging, if climate change is as damaging, or man-made climate change, shall I say, is as damaging as what people are stating is, yourselves, Extinction Rebellion, is as damaging what it says it is, why are the banks not backing you?
So 98% of the world's scientists say that humans and the climate crisis are related.
But are those scientists ecologists? Are they from the private sector or are they from the public sector?
That's not for me to say.
Well, all the studies state that they're from the public sector, so none of them are private, or very few are private entities, the ones who have most to gain from it, so non-governmental organisations such as Extinction Rebellion, People Against Climate Change, and
Thank
so.
you for your time. We need to close it.
As you can see, it's already backing up quite a lot. I can imagine the carbon emissions are at quite a high level now in comparison to if they had fallen, right? Oh, but I can actually hear the engines running currently, and in fact, just to let you know, if when you turn off an engine and return it on, it has a more damaging effect on CO2 levels than it would if they would just keep running or if they would just keep driving. So asking them to turn it off is actually damaging the environment more than if they were just to sit there idling. Are you aware of that, ma'am?
I'm not.
No. Okay, so that's a good bit of information for you to take back. That's amazing. Okay. Oh, no, I believe you should definitely try, most definitely. But in the way that you're doing it is actually damaging the environment more, and you're perpetuating lies, which is damaging the society more than if we was allowed to just continue the development of technology and continue. Very little. Exactly. That's exactly. And the carbon emissions now were concentrated in one area. There's a few people that are opposing this. There's a gentleman down there that thinks this is a sin.
I honestly don't care because I want the world to end. So
okay, so sorry, sir. Would you like to say that
I want
again?
the world to end. So
In what way would you like it to end?
Well, it just ends. Like, it's a
And
terrible
why would you
place.
want that?
Because there's so many horrible people here.
But there are less horrible people than nice people, surely. Otherwise,
No, I
you
don't
would see
think
more
so.
murders, you would see more
Yeah,
more
but that
theft, more.
Just because that doesn't make people nice. Just because
they don't do those things.
yeah.
Because they don't commit crime, it doesn't mean that they're not nice.
No,
How
it
does
just
that
means
work?
that they're not bad.
So we've got more nice people, or more people that are willing to not do damage to other people, cause harmless or injury to others, than there are that would like to do
why
so.
Why are you trying to like get me to change your mind? Because you seem to want the world to
No,
end as well.
no. In fact, I actually see this as a doomsday cult myself. I see Extinction Rebellion as a doomsday cult. So as far as I'm aware, there are three main objectives are the three main objectives are for the government to declare a climate emergency, to have a civic assembly, and to go carbon neutral, or a couple of people are saying carbon negative, by 2025, otherwise it's going to be completely irreversible.
Hey mate, ask him who pays his wages.
My employer.
Yeah, who is your employer?
I don't disclose that sort of information because
Oil company,
it's
oil
personal.
bank?
No, unfortunately not. No, it's just a small local business that employs me.
Yeah, Shell. Lloyd's. Subsidiary of it.
No, I don't work for any big corporation. I work for my media. I work for myself. I don't get paid for this. So apparently I'm now accused of working for a bank or an oil company. It'd be nice.
The people got the power. The people got the power. Tell me, can you hear us? Tell me, can you hear us? Getting stronger by the hour. Getting stronger by the hour. Power! Power! People! 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 Power! Power! Power to the people! Power to the people! The people got the power! The people got the power! Tell me, can you hear us? Tell me, can you hear us? Getting stronger by the hour! Getting stronger by the hour! Power! Power! People! 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 Power! Power!
I wonder if there was enough noise complaints that they'd be asked to stop singing. I wonder. Be interesting to ask an officer. Quite ironic. So I'm going to ask this gentleman who believes that I'm part of a banking or oil, getting paid off by banking or oil people. I'm going to ask him a few questions to see what he says. See what makes him believe that I'm being paid off by big money. Well, what they class as big money. Let's see if he's willing to speak to me about that. Be nice to ask why he believes that. Just going to go and ask the gentleman now. Excuse me, do you mind if I just talk to you about why you think that I'm paid by big money at all?
Okay, I think maybe, I think the people know, I don't feel need to go into it.
What makes you believe that I'm paid by oil companies or by banks or anyone? What makes you believe that?
I don't have to answer all these questions.
No, you don't have to ask, I'm just asking because that's what you stated. So, you made the claim, so to make that, you have to back that claim.
Well, it's a question.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a question.
Why do you have to like come off the road?
So this gentleman couldn't answer, or wouldn't answer, sorry, why he believes that I'm being paid by big money, such as oil, banks, or I'm not sure who else he believes I may be paid off by. Be nice to find out. Maybe one of you viewers could tell me. That'd be nice. If you can find out if I do, that'd be nice. Thank you. See, to be more effective in my eyes, I would have thought they'd be standing at the side of the road while they're not on the side of the road, while they're not on the road, with their banners and their signs out, so the people passing be able to see what they're doing. Be a nice idea, because all these people that have come in this traffic have no clue as to why they were sitting there for 7 minutes. Now they would possibly think that it was possibly a traffic light or a signalling failure. However, it wasn't a signalling failure, it wasn't anything to do with that. It was to do with
Power to the people! Power to the people! The people got the power!
so they've listened to what I've got to say and they really think that that's a really good idea, clearly. And
Tell me, can you hear us? Tell me, can you hear us? Getting stronger by the hour. Getting stronger by the hour. Power! Power! People! People! Power!
So I really think that this group could do with a lot of help in regards to a lot of things. Their information would be fantastic. Help with their information would be amazing.
Getting stronger by the hour. Power! People! Power! People! Power to the people! Power to the people! The people got the power! People got the power!
We can all hear you. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of people that believe what you're spouting. To the most part, it's utter drivel. Are we having a negative effect on the climate? Of course humans are having a negative effect on the climate. Is it to what these people state, or what the IPCC or other non-governmental organisations that are funded by governments state? So really have to question that. Really have to question that. So if we could give them the correct information, everyone, please send all the information that you have on climate change, to the ecology, astrophysics, to solar radiation, the effects of pole shifts on our climate. That'd be good, because it appears that the people that have put these studies together, that public studies together, have not, or they have neglected to input in their information that the pole shifts have the most detrimental effect on our environment, and it's not anything that we are able to change. That's something that's natural. This group doesn't believe in solutions. All they believe in is the ability to be able to scream and shout about something that they believe in, which everyone has their right to do. But don't force it upon people that have got nothing to do with it and that don't believe in it. May not even believe in it, may not even care. And that's up to them. People have their own rights to their own opinions and freedoms of expression. But when you're impacting on people's daily lives, causing harm, loss and injury, it's not very nice on those that are being victimised by these individuals.
Power! People! People! Power!
So I can just see down there, there's a gentleman that's not happy in his car. He's stopped the police and asked to have a little word. Fortunately, on this run of the traffic, there's not actually many vehicles at all. It's a co-worker asking his colleague if he would like a cuppa whilst he's sitting there. It's really nice of him, and that's the positivity that we need to drive in this world. Coming up to people and saying, would you like a hand? Would you like something? I know it could be quite stressful for people in their jobs on their day-to-day, and for people to come up to them and say, would you like a drink, or is there anything I can do for you, whilst they're being inconvenienced by such protesters, I think that's brilliant. There's a nice little sign for you. Declare a climate emergency. I don't know what that emergency is. I've been asking them. Apparently the emergency is that it's going to be irreversible by 2025, and it's going to cause such a social breakdown. Now, if that's quite true, then why would private sectors and governments not do more? And I'd like to ask if these people are paid off by any companies, whether that be companies who build wind farms or solar panels, or maybe it may be a water company that wants to be able to go on a bit more of a capitalist society and to be able to capitalise on energy. So being hydro energy. That'd be a massive market for the water companies to have. And how would you instill that? You create groups to pressure things to suit your narrative and to get all of the policies that are required for you to be able to do it at the best markup that you can. I've heard a lot of remarks of people stating that it's not very effective, it's possibly more damaging. So they're asking people to sign up. I would like to ask if it costs anything. Is there a subscription charge? No, is it just like a mailing list?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not paying anything to join?
Absolutely not.
Right,
No?
it's not a member situation, you just come along to meetings.
Okay, so it's a bit like a doomsday cult, just so you don't pay anything.
No.
I'd just like to welcome everyone to this. So it's saying, that's going to be our future, dead. I've asked them if they're a doomsday cult, and they don't believe that they are. Well, yes! Went down like a lead balloon. So now, look at the standstill that we have now. All those carbon emissions just lingering around in one area when they could have just been dispersing around a larger surface area, which would be less damaging on our environment. They want climate justice, means that we're going to have zero agriculture. No agriculture. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how we're going to produce food, clothes, energy. We don't have the infrastructure to be able to provide the whole world, or especially this country, should we say, with the means and infrastructure for green energy, such as hydro, solar. Now, the sun can actually provide us with 13 times the amount of energy that we need as a global consumption. But these people won't talk about that. But it's going to take longer, a lot longer than 6 years to be able to put the infrastructure in. There's a lot of floodplains, grey or brown areas for building. So there's a lot of places that we aren't able to actually put any of the infrastructure required to be able to go carbon neutral. So that poses a problem, and I've asked them to how they're going to overcome this, but apparently it's not up to Extinction Rebellion to be able to provide that sort of... It's just that the goalpost keeps moving every time we get to a point, and like, global warming's so damaging. Comes 10 years later, thanks Al Gore. What happens? Nothing. No doomsday, no problems. So what they call it? Oh no, it's climate change. Man-made climate change, that's what it's now. Which is fair enough. But there's more of a correlation between solar activity and the rise in temperatures than there is in CO2 and the rise in temperatures. So where do we go from there? There's more of a correlation between one set of figures than there is the other. Which one are you more likely to suggest and provide and to believe?
Are you saying that solar power is contributing more in...
Solar radiation?
Yeah,
Yes.
from solar.
No, not from solar panels, from the sun. Solar radiation.
But we can't do anything about
I know.
it. So we can't... So why do you bring that up?
Because there's more of a correlation between the rise in temperatures and the solar activity
Yeah.
than there is in CO2
But
and the
we
rise in
can't
temperatures.
we can't do anything about...
I know.
Can we? But we can do something about CO2.
What can we do about CO2? How are we going to cut CO2 completely? How are we going to produce food? How are we going to agriculture? What about your phones? What about heating your homes? How do you produce that electricity? 2025 this is, 6 years time. In 6 years time, can we build enough infrastructure to support what you want in 6 years?
Yeah, I think we could.
How?
I don't know.
It takes them 6 years to even decide on if the ground's viable enough to be able to build on it. Because you can't build on all ground, because there's grey areas, brown areas, green areas. You've got to be careful on what parts of ground you build on. As you can see across the UK, we've built on a lot of floodplains, which is the reason why we're having massive amounts of flood, because the infrastructure's incorrect. It's not because of the rising precipitation.
So I don't know the answers because honestly,
Yeah, and unfortunately, and nor do those.
They probably know more than me.
I've asked them and they said they're not here to provide solutions, they're just here to raise awareness of the problem, which is fine. But most people who have a problem have a solution, even if it's wrong or not that good. You've got to have some sort of solution, not just go carbon neutral. I could say that.
Well, yeah.
But how are we going to do it?
Yeah, I don't know, but because
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Because the carbon that we have isn't as bad, as high as levels as what people think it's detriment to us.
No, maybe not, but I feel like if we want to save the planet, something's got to be done.
But
I don't
if
know
the
what
sun's
I think.
have an effect on it, and it's the sun causing the majority of the problem, can't do much, can we? Apart from evolve and adapt. But do you think that we have the infrastructure to be able to do it by 2025?
Yeah.
You do, and the resources to be able to produce it.
I think if we're committed to it, then we could, yeah.
So one wind farm,
Yeah.
right? It's £1 billion deal.
Right.
Do we, as a nation, have the ability to be able to produce billions of pounds out of thin air overnight?
Nuclear
We have 12. That's
energy.
12 years.
Nuclear energy.
Nuclear energy, nuclear power station. How much does that cost to build? Trillion?
I don't know, but I'm sure we have enough money.
Do
If we
we?
stop spending it on stupid things like the monarchy and fighting wars.
So I'm glad you said that. The Queen doesn't have to pay tax. The Queen doesn't have to pay tax, but she chooses to pay her tax, which is over £300 million a year.
Right.
So how much money does the Queen actually take? Do you believe that we should keep the upkeep of our buildings?
Well,
So, say governmental buildings.
yeah.
Do you think that we should upkeep them to keep them in use?
Yeah, but we should.
So most of the money that gets spent on the monarch, our public expenditure, is to do with the upkeep of the buildings themselves. So it doesn't benefit the monarch, it benefits the country, because if they don't look good, the tourism is billions of pounds
Yeah,
a
but
year.
they don't go in Buckingham Palace most of the time.
But they don't do a lot of renovations in Buckingham Palace on public expenditure, it's the exteriors.
Well, that's what I've heard, that the inside gets.
There may be certain parts of it that the public sector work in, because there are people of the public sector that work in there. So their conditions have to be up to date to legislation, would you not say? Or do you want them to work in substandard conditions?
What?
Do you believe that where people work should be at a high standard, or a standard?
What is
good
this got
standard?
to? You've lost
'Cause
me. I don't.
You stated that money gets spent inside the Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
The money that gets spent inside there is to benefit the people that work there, not the Queen herself. She may have rooms that get renovated or have work done to it, but she may own the buildings while she's a monarch, but when she's not, they're not hers, they actually belong to us, the people. So we're keeping the upkeep of that, which is only a benefit to us, because then we get tourism each year of billions and billions of pounds from foreign nationals coming just to visit the Queen and the buildings.
Well, yeah, but that hasn't been proven.
Well, it has. The economy has proved that.
No, it hasn't been proven that that's because.
Why
of
do you
the
think
monarchy.
predominantly Chinese tourists come here? Predominantly, they come here because they want to see the Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, possibly.
Windsor Castle.
They're not seeing. Yeah, but if the Queen, we didn't have a monarch. I'm not even like.
So you're opposed to a monarch?
Not necessarily, but I'm saying if we didn't have a monarch and we just cut the spending, then they'll still come and see Buckingham Palace. It's going to be here.
But it wouldn't
And
be
probably
if
go
it's,
on the
if it's if
inside
the work
as
isn't
well.
done. If the work isn't done, it's not going to be there.
But
It's
then
going to
it'd be
diminish.
worse, then, wouldn't it? If people.
What?
could,
So you
like,
want it to go into
inside
disarray, and then
No,
people
that's-
don't visit us?
No.
What's bad for our economy? So you don't want that. So would you rather that people did visit and we spent money on keeping these buildings to a good standard, so people can appreciate them where they were built originally, 1,000 years ago, hundreds of years ago?
Well, I'm talking about the inside of Buckingham Palace.
But the inside needs to be renovated to keep it standard.
But people don't go visit that.
But people do. You can have tours.
But it's not like the French palace, you know, France, well, they're obviously a republic now, they used to be a monarchy, yeah? And because their palace isn't used anymore, people can go around and visit it. So,
But they still pay to keep that upkept,
yeah.
so people can visit.
Yeah, but then it's worth it, people can visit it.
But people can visit Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle. It's not a problem. Same as St Paul's Cathedral. Public have to pay to keep that upkeep as well. But it's only a small percentage. It's not as much as what you believe it may be.
Yeah,
It's a very small percentage.
yeah.
Especially for the fact of the Queen pays her own tax.
Do we have your email address?
Very interesting conversation, actually. I quite like that. Thank you. Yeah, I don't want personal details on here. But yeah, thank you. So, how do you think, or how do you propose we go carbon neutral then? How do you believe we go carbon neutral?
The scientists and the engineers. We determine that by the People's Assembly. That's the plan. We're not here to preach solutions. We're here to ask for change.
So at your assemblies, do you propose that you'll be
the assemblies,
go
yeah,
for
goal.
solutions at these assemblies?
Yes,
So the assemblies are to get the experts in to be able to provide everyone with
the
information.
People's
Well, that's
Assembly.
fine. That's fine. I actually agree with the civic assembly myself. I believe that every constituency should have its own assembly to be able to debate problems within the local area and then possibly to the national level. I believe that would be a very good idea. But if we're not going to come up with solutions, then what's the point in having that? Seems Labour candidate doesn't want to really speak about this either. It's going to be heavily questioned at hustings when she goes to debates. So it's going to be very difficult for people to answer when they've got no solutions to these so-called problems that they're perpetuating in this world today. It's very interesting.